The most satisfying thing though is to see where the car is in terms of pace now in qualifying in the race. We had a lot of ground to make up from the start of the year. How did Lewis manage to run on the medium tyre for so many laps in that middle stint? Well, it was a good stint. The first stint he was suffering a bit with oversteer and he was radioing to Bono, his engineer, to ask him to take a bit of flap out at that stop. That then gave him a much better balance, and that's distributing the work nicely between the rear axle and the front axle, and that allows you to go for longer. Now eventually we were starting to run out of rubber, we had to bring him in, but that was really just to give him enough laps to chase down Carlos at the end of the race. What was the reason for starting Lewis on the medium tyres and for starting George on the soft tyre? Well, we looked at each case separately. With George, we wanted him to be out front leading the race. The conditions were quite tricky. There was a bit of rain in the air. It looked like it was quite cold, could be quite slippy, and that soft tyre will give him the best chance of getting off the line cleanly, because to keep George's hopes of winning the race alive, we had to be leading that first stint. Now the argument with Lewis was quite different. We'd had that DRS problem in qualifying that had meant he was well out of position, so the medium tyre gave him better range. It allowed him to overcut, we could go longer, and that put him on fresh rubber at the end of the race. And ultimately, that's what allowed him to have that pace that could take him all the way to P2. Did we have any thoughts of doing a one-stop with either driver? No, not really. The only way to do the one-stop was to do a medium and a hard, and on both of those stints, you'd need quite a lot of management to get to the finish. We tried the hard on Friday. It didn't have good grip. And in the cooler conditions that we had on Sunday, we expected it to be even worse. There was a good comparison of a one-stop versus a two-stop from teams that only had one medium tyre. So the Alpines decided to do the medium-hard one-stop, Lando did a two-stop soft medium-hard, and he was able to beat them. But the big reason for that is that on the two-stop you spend less time on that hard tyre, and the hard tyre was the slowest tyre on the day. So how did we go from being 1 second off on Friday to pole position with George on Saturday? Well, we had to make a lot of changes overnight. We talked on Friday about some of the things we'd done had taken us in the wrong direction on setup. So we'd lost the car balance. It became a mix of oversteer and understeer that the drivers were struggling with. We'd lost overall grip. And then on top of that, we were managing a system problem that meant we had to run a little bit more cooling than we would normally. And also that was affecting our deployment. So overall, there were quite a few things that contributed to it. We didn't know that we were going to fix all those. We knew why we were doing each individual change, but it was very exciting to see the pace that both drivers had on Saturday in qualifying. With hindsight, could Lewis have won? Well, the big regret is we had that DRS problem right on his only new tyre in Q3. Had we got both on the front row, we'd have been in a good position to control the race. If you actually look at how it plays out strategically though, it would have been very difficult for Lewis, and that comes down to the start tyre. With Max having started on the soft, he had two mediums to go to finish the race, and that meant he could stop earlier and was always going to be able to do a more effective undercut on Lewis than we could have done to defend. So that's the main thing on a strategy point of view. We don't think we missed any opportunities, but there were other incidents. Max had that spin that cost him very little. Had that been more of an issue, Lewis could have been in contention at the end. Had there been a bit more rain, Lewis was hoping for that to come a bit sooner because his tyres were in good condition. But overall, we need to make the car a little bit quicker, and we certainly need to make sure that we've got the DRS fixed in qualifying. How does the Dubbel Podium feel going into the break? Well, this last one was particularly satisfying because we weren't relying on the misfortune of anyone dropping out with a reliability problem. The car pace was also very good, and it's always nice to have a good race before you go into that period of holiday. The most satisfying thing though is to see where the car is in terms of pace now in qualifying in the race. We had a lot of ground to make up from the start of the year. We've been working really hard trying to bring bits to every race, and it is really satisfying now to see that we're racing with the Ferraris, with the Red Bulls right at the front. Given this incredible result, what can we expect in terms of performance for the second half of the season? Well, we've got more coming. So we're trying to bring some performance to Spa. That will hopefully close that gap. We haven't got far to go now, but we'll keep developing the car for a little while now. We're quite excited though. The last few races have been the most fun we've had all year, and we're just hoping that we can take that extra step because we definitely want to be winning races in the near future. So we're working hard to try and achieve that. So what will I be doing in the summer break? Well, certainly won't be doing any motor racing. The rules don't allow us to do that, but it's also been a really challenging season so far for everyone in the team, and we're all looking forward to a bit of downtime. It's great because I can spend some time with my family, have some time in the UK as well, which is always very nice, and hopefully get away for a week or two just to relax, read some books, and get ready for that second half of the year, which is going to be particularly busy, going straight in with a triple header. Thank you for all your questions. We'll be back with another race debrief after the Belgian Grand Prix.